Alright guys, this video is an introduction to the philosophy of mount, or mount philosophy, whichever you like, I don't care. Coach John's going to take it over because he's the Ninja Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so what do we got?
Alright guys, so the first thing that we want to understand about mount in terms of the position itself is where the person wants to be on top. If you understand it from the top position, you can reverse engineer it, and your survival strategies and your escape strategies become much easier. So Coach Lucas is down. Alright, so we're going to look at things from not only a sport jiu-jitsu perspective, but from a self-defense perspective as well. And a lot of it will go hand in hand, but there's some that are just completely miles apart. So the first thing we want to think about, right, when I'm in mount and I'm in the dominant position, is where my body is positioned, right? So if I'm sitting directly on Coach Lucas's hips, it becomes very easy for him to control my movement and control my base. So all he has to do is move his hips around and he's going to start to move me around. My ultimate goal is to get off of his power generator, because that's what generates the power, is the hips. Head controls direction, hips controls power. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to start to look to move up. And I can do this in a bunch of different ways, and we'll get into that more in later videos. But one of the basic ways is I just get really tight, really heavy, and I start to smother him. As he pushes up to make space, his elbows leave his body. Once his elbows leave his body, I fill that void. Now I'm off of his power generator. As he throws his hips around, it affects me not at all. This does one of two things. It keeps me in a more stable position, and it eliminates the potential for him to affect me. It also puts me in a much better position leverage-wise, if it's a self-defense thing, to start to hammer down. Right? Because he doesn't have the ability to reach me, but I have the ability to reach him. Okay, so once again, on the hips, I don't want to stay here for any longer than I have to. So my main goal, my main objective is to slide up on the chest and get as far up and as high up as I can to get off of his power generator. So I'm going to come down low, start to smother, he pushes up, I slide up. Now I'm off of the power and I'm away from his hips. Okay? The other way that I can nullify that, depending on his posture and his position, is if both legs are up, and we'll talk about all those positions in just a second. If both legs are up, I know the chances are that when his heels come towards his butt, he's getting ready to bridge and throw me forward. So as this starts to happen, I'm going to lower my center of gravity, I'm going to lower my upper body, and I'm going to grapevine, which is basically I come in from the outside, and I take the tops of my feet, and I hook his shins. Now I can stretch his legs out and take his ability away to base. Now he has no ability to push his hips forward. I can sit here and ride him out and just make him tired until he starts to move his arms, and then I can slide up again. Okay, ultimately, I want to be up on his chest. Okay, so knowing these strategies and knowing that ultimately these are the positions that the person on top wants to be, before I can mount any escape or attempt any escape, I need to survive with inside the position. Which means that I can know 1,000 positions, but if I don't know how to survive in the position, those 1,000 escapes do me no good whatsoever. Okay? So let's look at it from a self-defense point of view first, okay? If he is upright, my dangers come from punches, elbows, headbutts, and all of the above, right? So from a self-defense perspective, I want him to have 4 points on the ground. So I can do this in one of two different ways. I can knee him in the butt and just drive him forward and make sure that he's on the ground. I can bring both of my heels up to my butt, and I can do a hard bridge and throw him forward. But immediately I need to recognize the fact that, what did we just say before? Anytime my legs come up, both legs come up, he can grapevine and start to create problems for me, and it's just one more obstacle I need to deal with. So if I do bring both legs up, as soon as his arms hit the ground, one leg needs to come to the ground. and eliminate his potential for grapevining my legs. So you can grapevine one and it doesn't matter. Okay, so that's number one. Second obstacle I have to deal with is knowing that he wants to rise up out of my chest. If I know that he wants to come up out of my chest, my main objective is what? To keep him down. One of the easiest ways to do that is I'm going to base my arm horizontally against his hips, doesn't matter which arm. So I'm going to bring my arm horizontally against his hips. I'm going to use my other arm as a support structure. I can monkey paw, I can grip with my thumb. I just prefer to monkey paw because it's easier to let go if I need to. And my other leg, or my other arm, goes straight down his thigh. This stops the potential of him moving up. It also gives me the option, if he starts to sit up, I can throw him down and I can hug, because my arms aren't tied into a specific grip where they're gonna get caught, like on a belt or something like that. It's a very easy move for me to transition, boom, to another escape.
You want to show the angle right here? Sure. Just so we can see a different variation of it. So we got right.
All right, guys, again, so the survival strategies, right, for the basic mount is one leg up, one leg down. From this position, I never want to keep both legs up for a very extended amount of time because I don't want to get grapevine. So one leg up, one leg down. My hand is going to ride across his hip line. Typically what I do to start to set up some of my escapes is the leg that's down, the opposite hand is going to point towards that leg. So if my right leg is down, my left arm is the arm that goes across the hip and it points towards the leg that's down. Create my support structure, which is basically just a monkey paw to support that hand, and then my arm just follows his thigh line down.
So self-defense way that you were talking about, this is like, you're gonna die zone, right? This is a bad zone from you. That's what you're saying, where if I'm here, you wanna knee me forward.
Oh, absolutely.
That way my hands are on the ground.
Correct.
And then another thing you did that I noticed was I came down and you set up and you hugged me. So I came here and you hugged me, and that was to protect your face, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And we'll get into a lot more of that when we go into mount escapes. The thing you need to think about, guys, in terms of jiu-jitsu in general is whether it's sport jiu-jitsu or self-defense jiu-jitsu, it all comes down to space. Somebody is trying to make space and somebody's trying to close up that space. Usually the person on the defensive is trying to close that space. The person on the offensive, especially in self-defense situations, the person on the offensive is usually trying to create that space, make the space to open up and start to hit. So if you're all the way out, you're in danger, but if you're all the way in, it takes the power off of those punches. It doesn't sting quite as much. It doesn't stop you from getting hit, but you're not going to get knocked out from this position. You need to be out at the extent of that power arc in order for that to happen.
Yeah, and I felt like when you had to be hugged like that, I had to always keep one hand on the ground to keep my body up, or else I would just naturally fall down. And
Correct.
All right, that was it.